From the guy who saved Bikini Bottom from hell,
Say seaweed.
to the guy who brought hell to Bikini Bottom.
Fire!
Today, I'm going to be going down the entire Spongebob family tree. We're also going to be covering other family trees from some of the most famous characters on the show. Now, Spongebob's family tree may not be the biggest, but sure spans a long time. The first SquarePants that came into existence is actually known as Primitive Sponge, the episode SB-129, where Squidward accidentally gets frozen alive, ending up in the future. So to get back to the present, he hops in a time machine that takes him back to the Paleozoic era of the ocean, and it's there where he meets SpongeBob's first ancestor.
SpongeBob?
That little guy is nothing more than a savage beast. Although at least he's been civilized enough to wear a little loincloth. He doesn't quite understand jellyfish yet, though.
What are you simpletons doing?
Primitive Sponge seems to love making a load of noise, but hates noise from anywhere else. And when Squidward starts playing his clarinet, Primitive Sponge ain't happy. Squidward manages to make a break for it and leave the primitives behind. We're going to fast forward to 66 million BC, where we find a much more sophisticated ancestor of SpongeBob's, Spongegar. Like his primitive ancestor before him, Spongegar still lives in ancient times, or right around the Cretaceous period.
Banuga ready!
He's got his square loincloth, there's bits of broken English, and he lives in a pineapple. Well, it's a cave made to look like a pineapple, but we gotta start somewhere, right? Despite being a little more sophisticated though, he still has a passion for pain. He's also the first undersea critter along with Patar and Suwog to discover fire.
Squad te fait la fou.
And they waste no time using it for food. So while he's still pretty primitive, Spongegar is one hell of an important dude. Where we find SpongeBob's great-great-grandfather, Spongebuck SquarePants. Spongebuck lived in a place called Deadeye Gulch, which was Bikini Bottom's name back then. And Spongebuck looks way closer to his great-great-grandson.
Charge him double for his drinks.
Howdy do, y'all!
Well, minus the bowler hat, the chain thingamajig, and the bow tie.
Give me a shot of milk.
Milk?
2%.
Spongebuck's a pretty important guy in the history of Bikini Bottom, as he's the guy who saved the town from its western overlord, Deadeye.
You can't do this! Ow! 3 yeehaws for SpongeBob!
And he was even given a solid gold statue in his honor.
Sorry, great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa.
After Spongebuck saved the town, he clearly became very popular and settled down and had a kid of his own, SpongeBob's grandpa, Grandpa SquarePants. We first hear him mentioned when SpongeBob does an impression of him in the episode Rock Bottom.
I guess Grandpa SquarePants was right. Especially one that's going up at a 90-degree angle.
And then we see him in the episode where SpongeBob really wants to fly, where again he has another anecdote for us.
If we were meant to fly, we'd have propellers on our heads or jet engines on our backs.
While we don't see a lot of Grandpa, we do see a lot of his wife, Grandma SquarePants. She's a pretty big part of SpongeBob's life, as he's a certified granny's boy.
You make the best cookies in the deep blue sea.
How close he is with his grandma actually cost him some street cred in the Krusty Krab once.
Bye, Grandma. Thanks for the ride. Thank you, Squidward.
He even tries to break the habit by being a man, but that doesn't last long, especially when he sees Patrick getting the grandma's boy treatment.
I want cookies and milky. I want to ride in my wagon. And I want kissy on my boo-boo.
If a kiss on the forehead made a whole restaurant laugh at him, there's no telling what that'd do to his street cred. Together, Grandpa and Grandma SquarePants had 3 kids, the oldest of which is Sherm SquarePants, SpongeBob's uncle, who was famous for sticking a watermelon up his nose.
Well, there was my Uncle Sherm. He could stick an entire watermelon up his nose.
Then you got SpongeBob's other uncle, Captain Blue SquarePants. He gets the name Captain due to being a former police captain, and he's a pretty nice guy.
Uncle Captain Blue, I need your help.
Land a firm one on me, Bobby.
to get SpongeBob to do odd jobs he's too old for around the house. Don't worry though, SpongeBob's got a pretty tasty reward for when he's done.
Actually, I came to try to find it.
And when you're done, I've made a tomato and clam juice smoothie to refresh it.
Nothing like a good warm glass of tomato and clam juice. Germ and Blue only have one more brother, and that's of course Harold, SpongeBob's dad. Harold is a man of few words. By all accounts, he's a loving and caring dad, but he's hardly gonna talk your ear off.
Come on, SpongeBob. Hurry, hurry, son.
Hello, Mrs. SquarePants. Let me help you with these bags.
Calm your jets, Squiddy. She's a married sponge. Back to Harold, though. He's a super proud dad when SpongeBob does anything good, like the time SpongeBob thought he passed his driving test.
You a member of the SquarePants family.
I think you've made your point, dear.
Ahem.
Well, when he's not flirting with SpongeBob's teacher, Harold's happily married to SpongeBob's mom, Margaret. We usually see her at the side of Harold in most episodes.
Hello, I'm Mr. Krabs, and I like money.
And we see a little later in season 14 that SpongeBob didn't get his fry cooking skills from his mother's side.
Hey, Mom, we are making fast food.
Love takes time, darling.
And that brings us, of course, to Mr. SquarePants himself. But we're not quite done yet. SpongeBob's still got a bit more family for us to talk through, namely his cousins. First up is Sherm's son, Stanley. Now, Stanley does stick out from the rest of the SquarePantses. Can any of you tell me why?
Phew. Cousin Stanley!
Cousin SpongeBob.
He's double the height of SpongeBob, doesn't have any SquarePants, and has a head full of hair. I guess the most important difference is Stanley literally destroys everything he touches. If you thought Sponge and Pat were clumsy, this guy is on a whole other level.
Glad to meet you, partner.
Nice to meet you.
There's a couple of other cousins to mention, like Todd SquarePants. Here's what he looks like. I guess he's the millennial nearing midlife crisis SquarePants family member. Then last but not least on the cousin list is Blackjack. He's the roughest, toughest member of the family by far. I mean, take a look at the guy. Basically, Blackjack used to roughhouse SpongeBob when they were kids, and he's always been afraid of his bigger cousin. But when he finally comes face to face with Blackjack, he realizes that he's not as big and tough as he remembered.
Cousin Blackjack?
A bit like Todd, it's never said whose kid Blackjack is, but we know he's his cousin, and he sure loves to fight. In the episode The Great Patty Caper, we learn that SpongeBob lives another 50 years and has his very own grandkid.
Shh! Yeah, they're kids today.
But the SquarePants clan doesn't stop there, as somewhere in the next 2,000 years, SpongeBob manages to replicate himself into Spongetron, an all-purpose robot from the same episode we saw earlier where SpongeBob gets trapped in the freezer.
SpongeBob, I am Spongetron. Welcome to the future.
And the thing with robots is, you can make as many as you want.
Spongetron's X, Y, and Z.
Other letters of the alphabet involved here.
All 486 of them.
That's all the SquarePants is so far, so I think it's time we moved on to a whole new family. And who better than SpongeBob's best friend, Patrick Star. Like SpongeBob, Patrick's earliest ancestor first appears on the family tree 540 million years ago, and he's just as primitive as Primitive Sponge. He's called Primitive Star, and let's just say he doesn't keep up with his dental hygiene, but even he doesn't really.
Hi there.
I guess they never had mouthwash back then. You saw how savage he was when we looked at SpongeBob's ancestor earlier, so there's no need to go back over old ground. But we are going to take a look at someone else who's familiar, Patar. Again, like SpongeGar earlier, when Patar discovers fire, he can't help but eat everything in sight. Yeah, even a stick. SpongeGar tries teaching him what to do, but he still don't quite get it. I guess the others are a little more evolved mentally than he is, which I think I'll be saying a lot with the Star family. After the car crash that is Patar, we gotta do a big jump to get to Pat's next ancestor, Patrick's great-great-granduncle, Patrick Revere. We've already seen one heroic ancestor save Bikini Bottom, but we're about to see another, because Patrick Revere was responsible for riding in the streets and warning Bikini Bottom of any incoming danger.
The mollusks are coming! The mollusks are coming!
What beeth the deal with ye old nutcase?
Then after that hero, the Star family tree takes a bit of a hit with the inclusion of Petco's Patrick Star, who, let's just say, isn't the sharpest weed in the sea.
Out west, a man gets right back up on his coffin and faces his problems with the help of his idiot sidekick friend.
And you know what? At least he's self-aware, which is more than I can say for Patrick a lot of the time. But in Rule of Dumb, we see a more recent line on his family tree.
As it would seem that you aren't royalty after all. I've discovered this coffee stain. On removal, reveals that Sir Gary is the true heir to the king's crown.
Basically, there used to be a royal family that ruled Bikini Bottom, and they were Queen Mildew and King Amoeba. Together they had kids who grew up and then had more kids, and as a result, Pat was eventually born, because that's how family trees work. So for a while, they thought he was the heir to the throne before they eventually found out that Gary was related to him. But for now, let's just go straight to Pat's mom and dad. After a day of stressing about his mom and dad coming to visit, Patrick asks SpongeBob for a little help with his parents, and when they arrive, they're exactly like you'd imagine.
Son, you recognized us this time. You never were a bright one. Well, aren't you going to show us inside?
Turns out, though, that these guys aren't Pat's parents, but some imposters who just stumbled onto his rock. This is the real Herb and Margie.
Does this lovely couple belong to you? They've been standing outside my house saying, "Where's Patrick?"
Mom! Dad!
Wow, son! You actually recognized us this time.
Now, things do get a little confusing because in the Patrick Star Show, Pat's mom and dad are completely different people. They're called Cecil and Bunny, and while the Patrick Star Show is said to be set in an alternate universe, in Season 16 of SpongeBob, Cecil and Bunny make an appearance thanks to some time travel shenanigans.
Emergency! This cold jumbo calzone needs reheating! Perfect!
They're certainly a lot more colorful than Herb and Margie. In the episode, they basically replaced SpongeBob in some of his most iconic moments throughout the series. Like, remember the episode where he ripped his pants? Well, after their timelines go out of whack, it's actually Cecil whose pants rip. And his mom replaces SpongeBob in the episode where he pulls the spatula out of the grease and is challenged to a cook-off by King Neptune.
Actually, it was me.
Her friends call her Mom.
That makes an appearance in this episode, and it's Pat's adopted younger sister, Squidina. You know, where Sponge and Pat get on the wrong bus and head to the creepy ocean floor place?
Where am I?
Squidina?
What are you doing here?
She's a lot smarter than the rest of the Star family, and she tagged along with Sponge and Pat as they try to save her parents.
Ew, Dad, your spleen is showing.
I thought I felt a breeze.
I guess they were a little late there. Now if we jump back to the main standard timeline, Pat does have another sister, only she's called Sam, and she's older, meaner, and one big brute. She comes to pay Pat a visit in the episode Big Sister Sam, and the big guy looks pretty excited that his sister is dropping by.
I'm expecting some very important company.
Who's that?
My big sister, Sam.
When she comes to town, though, she's a lot bigger than Pat remembers, and angrier.
Sam!
Despite her angry shell, Sam is pretty protective of her little bro.
Loves to make rock for rubber.
My house is full of sand.
No like sand.
So with Sam out of the way, that's all of Pat's immediate family covered. So now it's time to check out his cousins, starting with that little mollusk we saw earlier, Gary. Thanks to Patrick's royal lineage, we know that Gary is his cousin and king of Bikini Bottom.
Reveals that Sir Gary is the true heir to the king's crown.
Well, would you look at that? Mom?
We see the family tree a little earlier in a bit more detail, minus Gary.
It starts with the marriage of King Amoeba and Queen Mildew. Ends at you.
Not sure how a guy has a starfish and a slug for a kid, but then again, who am I to argue with science? I bet Pat's glad Gary's in the family because not long after this inclusion, Gary has a kid of his own. But this is his daughter, Alice Wilson, which makes her Pat's niece.
She's beautiful.
And that's the end of the line of Pat's past and present family tree. But like SpongeBob, he too has a robotic future ahead of him, but we only get to see one Patron, which in Squidward's case is a good thing.
Somebody say jellyfishy?
Hi, Patron.
The year 4045 has hundreds of robot SpongeBobs and a two-headed android Patrick. I don't think Squid could have picked a worse year. Speaking of Squiddy, I think it's time we shined a light on his family tree because out of the main guys on Con Street, he's arguably the one with the most ambiguous background. Squidward is actually a generation later than SpongeBob and Patrick because Squid's first ancestor on the tree is Squog. And like SpongeGar and Patar, we gotta travel back 66 million years to catch him in action. And although he skipped a generation, Squog is far more sophisticated than both SpongeGar and Patar.
Squad, te fait la fool.
And while he might be a little more fancy than the other two, when it comes to eating on the newfound fire, he's suddenly a savage again. So that's what the most primitive form of the tentacles tree looks like. The next line comes a lot sooner than Sponge and Pat, as it's time to move on to Squid's Middle Ages jester ancestor, Squidly. Squidly is the guy who gave Squidward his playing the clarinet terribly gene.
If I never learn to play with ease, great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson be cursed tenfold.
Oh boy, Squidly, you were right. The next ancestor on the list is Squidward's great-great-grandfather, Hop-Along Tentacles. Even as far as back then, Squidward's ancestors were working for Mr. Krabs. But we ain't talking Krusty Krab. We're talking Krusty Cantina, and Hop-Along is the bartender.
Great, another hayseed.
Charge him double for his drinks.
He's basically just Squidward, just with a goofy outfit and a deviously thin mustache. The next senior member of Squidward's lineage is his grandma, Granny Tentacles. She makes her debut in the episode Chum Fricassee, where she finds out that her grandson has stolen her recipe for fricassee and is using it to purposely poison customers over at the Chum Bucket. Let's just say she's not a happy grandma.
What are you doing here?
Saving my recipe for my bumbling grandson.
I didn't do it.
She basically exposes her grandson and lets the angry mob deal with him.
Tear him apart, people!
Now, it's not stated in the show who Squidward's grandfather is, so that one's blank, but we do know who his dad is, Jeff. And after a huge time without knowing if Squid even had a dad, Jeff comes knocking on his son's door in season 15.
Oh, how did you know it was me? Bring it in, son. I just flew into town on my new sales route.
Now that's a stark contrast to Squidward, all right. Jeff seems happy. He's a bit of a prankster prince, though.
Oh, wow. Impressive, Squiddy.
Oh, you really think so?
I love clown paintings.
Squidward's mom, on the other hand, well, it's a little confusing as they've changed the design of who she originally was and made her older and eventually turned her into Granny Tentacles. However, we can still see the original design of Squidward's mom in Fools in April when she appears as a vision to scold her son.
You stink!
I'm sorry, I admit it, I'm sorry.
So the hot temper clearly comes from the mom's side. Then Squidward has a mystery cousin that doesn't seem to have a named mom or dad. His name's Squeeze, and he's a bit younger than Squiddy. He tries to get a job at the Krusty Krab, but it's turned down by Mr. Krabs.
Whatever.
Anyway, there's still two mystery brothers I'd like to mention, because while they're not flesh and blood, they're adopted, honorary members of the Tentacles family.
I've adopted your two little friends.
Now that's what I call a plot twist. What did Squidward ever do to deserve that? I guess they say you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. So with the Tentacles tree ticked off, it's time to take a look at Mr. Krabs' family lineup. Going back 66 million years, where we'll find the first sign of prehistoric crabs.
Money, money, I got money, 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 money. Ah!
Yep, those little crabs are loudly saying money. I guess when you're as obsessed about the green stuff as much as Krabs is, it's gotta be genetically hardwired into you. We've just seen Mr. Krabs' ancestors were at the bottom of the food chain, but in medieval times under the sea, King Krabs ruled all.
All right. But this is your last chance, fool.
You won't be disappointed. I must sing how you are the greatest at everything.
And believe it or not, King Krabs had a daughter nearly 600 years before Eugene Krabs, and they're both whales, called Pearl. Although this version of Pearl is a princess.
Father, don't you get it? These strangers have come to rescue us.
Now, as noble as King Krabs was, the blue blood doesn't exactly stay in the tree, and as we fast forward to that time once again in Deadeye Gulch, Mr. Krabs' great-great-great-grandfather, William Krabs, is the next ancestor in line. line. And while he doesn't own a kingdom, he does own the Krusty Cantina, the rootinest, tootinest watering hole this side of the Mariana Trench.
That no good goon and the IOUs do tomorrow noon. We'll lose everything.
Then it's Mr. Krabs' great-great-grandfather, Krabs, who Eugene summons from the dead in some sort of crazy hoodoo ritual.
Great-great-grandpa Krabs kick him out!
In the same episode, we get to see Mr. Krabs' great-grandpappy Krabs, and this guy is old. Like, he looks like a sneeze might take him out.
Grandpappy Krabs?
Defend the family's honor.
Ooh, respect, someone.
Now that we got the super old dudes out of the way, we can focus on Mr. Krabs' cool grandfather, Redbeard Krabs, the last true pirate of Bikini Bottom.
If it ain't me pirate grandson. I just sold You know how proud it makes me to see me continuing in the family business.
Redbeard married Grandma Krabs, who we don't really see apart from this one scary little scene.
Relax. That's what my grandma's dentures are made of.
Together, they gave birth to Victor, Mr. Krabs' dad, although for some reason, Vincent is like 10 times older than his own dad here.
This here is me father, and he is older than you. Time for you to be hoisting your sails and moving on, son.
No matter how old he looks, I totally buy that guy as Mr. Krabs' dad, and of course, that means Victor married Betsy Krabs, or to you and me, Mr. Krabs' mom. Probably best known from when SpongeBob, Patrick, and Mr. Krabs pull off a panty raid in his own mother's house.
Eugene, what are you doing with my bloomers?
Why didn't you tell me this was my mother's house?
Then, after Eugene himself, there's obviously his daughter Pearl. Pearl's a little strange, as we obviously don't know who her mom is, but we do know that Mr. Krabs isn't exactly the world's greatest dad to her.
Pearl's away, and it's her birthday. Ta-da!
Thanks for the show, Dad.
But he does love her in his own tightwad way.
Whee! Oh, you shouldn't have. I mean, Dad, you really shouldn't have.
Pearl, those are the finest fishing boots available.
And just like Pearl's mom, we know that Eugene has a sister somewhere, but we're not too sure on what she looks like or her name. We do know that she has 3 kids, though, who are all Mr. Krabs' nephews, and like Squeeze, Squid's cousin from earlier, Mr. Krabs has to turn his nephews down when they come asking for a job.
But Uncle Krabs, they solve mysteries. How go solve the mystery of why you didn't get the job?
So with the salty sea dog's family tree finalized, it's only right that we turn to his arch nemesis, the one-eyed enemy, Plankton. Plankton's very first ancestor first appears way back in medieval times as the evil sorcerer Planktanamore. The little evil wizard's plan is to take over Krabs' kingdom by stealing his daughter as ransom and letting his dragon attack the rest of the place. But it turns out Planktanamore's magic ain't all that.
That tickles. 30 powers.
And the whole dragon part of his plan soon backfires too.
Curses!
When Planktanamore isn't trying to steal the kingdom, he's happily married to Karen, the crystal ball.
Oh, that beeth rich.
Planktanamore, thou art cocky and overly confident with thyself.
I doth knowest what I am doing.
The next ancestor on Plankton's tree is a familiar face. It's Deadeye Plankton, the guy who's responsible for turning Bikini Bottom to Deadeye Gulch, the guy who strikes fear into the heart of every person in town.
I'm here for my money.
What? How am I supposed to keep the deed to me saloon?
That's the idea.
Saw earlier how he met his end with Spongebuck stepping in to save the day, but just know that Deadeye Plankton was one mean customer. We got another big gap now until we get to Plankton's grandma, Grandma Lily Plankton. She's a sweet old lady who lives in Shady Shoals retirement home, you know, with all the other old folk in Bikini Bottom.
How about a little more?
Oh, Grandma, you know I always have more pudding for you.
Grandma Plankton had a baby boy at some time or another, and his name is Gordon. He doesn't appear in the show, but he does appear in a few cartoons and books. Now, if you didn't know, organisms like plankton are so small that one drop of water usually contains thousands of them, and this explains why when it comes to cousins, plankton has a lot.
Of course you remember Zeke, Jeep, Billy Bob, Billy Jim, Billy, Banana Fanta, Ted, Rio, Fletcher McGee, Rainchild, Zeke, Jr.
Alright, I get it!
There's honestly too many to count there, so let's just keep things a little simpler by talking about someone we can count, Karen, Plankton's computer wife.
So, typical day of failure, I see, huh, darling?
Can't you see I'm exhausted?
Yes, Your Majesty.
But a wife is a wife, and no matter how much you think you don't like your wife, there's always her mother.
Loading EMILP.
EMILP.
Emergency Mother-in-Law Program.
Plankton, what have you done to my daughter? You made her cry. You know she could have been with an ATM.
Of all the things to make this already rocky relationship worse, it'd be a kid, right? Where they welcome a healthy baby boy named Chip Plankton.
Look how cute that baby is.
I don't think Plankton thought he'd be a dad, considering he wanted to rule the 7 seas with an iron mighty fist or something, but then again, it turned out when Chip grows up, he'd be far more successful than his dad ever was.
Hey, give me my money! That's my boy!
There's a couple more characters, family trees I want to check out here, because we can hardly forget the resident air breather in Bikini Bottom, Sandy Cheeks. Sandy's first ancestor is actually from a similar time to Plankton, way back in the medieval era. Sandy's Dark Knight ancestor was one of the protectors of Krabs' kingdom, a fierce squirrel who was battle-hardened, so not too different from current-day Sandy. The Dark Knight is a much bigger squirrel than Sandy, a little more rangier with their limbs. I like to think of them as not the hero the kingdom deserves, but the one it needs right now. The next descendant is also from the episode with Deadeye Gulch, but this one's a pretty mysterious ancestor, seeing as no one knows their name, and this is all we have to go off of. In terms of present-day Cheekses, Sandy does have a ma and pa as well, but they're never shown in the show apart from this one picture where on the left is pa, and on the right is ma, and in the middle is a baby Sandy. Sandy's not the only kid Ma and Pa had. They actually had a ton. To name a few, there's Randy, Rowdy, Rosie, and Rosie, one that's spelled with an I-E, the other with a Y. Of all her siblings, it's Rosie with a Y we see in the episode Sandy's Nutty Nieces, and if the episode title didn't give it away, Rosie also brings her kids along too.
Surprise! Hiya, sis!
I'd introduce Sandy's nieces, but they're gonna do a pretty good job of that themselves.
This here's my sister Rosie. This in here's Macadamia, Hazel, and Little Pistachio.
Those girls are a chip off the old woodchuck, which is maybe the greatest segue into talking about Sandy's cousins, because somewhere along her family tree, her ma and pa must have had a brother or sister who's part woodchuck, or married one at the very least, because she's got a hell of a lot of woodchuck cousins.
100 record broken.
Thanks for all your help, cousins.
If 100 woodchucks wasn't surreal enough, did you know that Sandy has a secret Scottish cousin? Not quite sure how a Texan squirrel manages to make their way over to Scotland, but that's none of my business. All I know is Sandy's Scottish cousin tried getting a job in the Krusty Krab one time, so they 100% exist.
Aye, 'tis true.
For a land critter that lives in a tree, Sandy's family tree is a little bit all over the place, but then again, she's most likely from a gigantic family that makes it super hard to trace outside a immediate family. But there's still one more trail that we gotta look at, and that is of course none other than Gary the Snail. Gary's first ancestor goes back 66 million years, was chilling with Spongebob. But do you notice something a little different about him? There's not much difference, to be fair. He's got the same color pattern, his eyes are the same, he even meows still. Oh yeah, and he's about 40 feet tall. And he has cool tail spikes, that too. The next couple of family members on Gary's list are the blue-blooded king and queen of Bikini Bottom.
Reveals that Sir Gary is the true heir to the king's crown.
So for a quick rundown, King Amoeba and Queen Mildew are Gary's great-great-grandparents. But still, this makes present-day Gary royalty.
Mom?
And then on his cousin's side, we get Patrick Star and his dad Herb. No, we don't need to cover those guys again, but there are a few technical siblings of Gary's I did want to mention. Because if SpongeBob adopts a new pet, technically they'll become Gary's brother or sister, right? Well, SpongeBob has branched out and got a new pet 3 times. There's Larry.
Dinner time! Bon appetit, Larry!
Then there's Jerry.
Larry sure is different than Gary. And Gary and Larry are real different than Jerry.
And then there's Rex.
Say hello to my new pal, Rex.
But if you guys remember, there's one other person we need to put on Gary's family tree. I promised we'd talk about her when we got to Gary. It's Gary's daughter, Alice Wilson. Basically, after getting caught causing trouble with Spot, Gary gets locked up by Marvin, who runs the animal shelter. And to get out of this mess, Gary sets Marvin up on a cute date with a ball of his saliva.
She's beautiful.
The pair somehow fall in love and even get married. And clearly it's family only, because if you look at the left side of the screen, you'll see one of Gary's famous cousins.
Everybody's free to go.
So, technically, Alice is Gary's daughter, and Marvin is now his official son-in-law. We've now gone through 7 of the most important and history-rich characters in the entire show. Those were the ultimate SpongeBob family trees. If you're wanting a quick fix of some animated action, make sure to stick around and click the video on screen right about now. Thank y'all for watching, as always.